GB News superstar Nana Akua joins me in Uncancelled. And their father-son duels have served up some of the most iconic scenes in cartoon history. But now woke producers are sucking the life out of the iconic comedy series The Simpsons after Homer, the father, announced on a recent episode that he will no longer choke his son Bart. Take a listen.
Whoa, that's quite a grip.
See, Marge? Strangling the boy has paid off. Just kidding, I don't do that anymore. Times have changed.
And comedy has died.
Comedy has died. Do you know what? You can't strangle kids on TV anymore. This woke stuff just out of control. Here, John, have you heard? You can't even strangle kids on TV anymore. It's woke gone mad. Do you know what? If you could only take enjoyment from comedy when kids are being strangled, it's probably about time you, I don't know, reevaluate yourself. Maybe. You know what? I just can't watch comedy unless there's some children being strangled. It's just pointless. It's dead. If there's no kids being strangled, comedy's dead to me.
So, following the show's latest PC makeover, are we sucking the fun out of life? Nana, great to have you back. Don't you want to strangle those woke TV producers instead?
Thank you.
Good to see the GBnews production is at its normal quality level.
Seriously. I mean, look, I when I grew up, it was Tom and Jerry and and the Woodpecker and all those things. And I'm pretty sure that there were plenty of episodes where the mouse got a hammer and smashed the cat over the head. And look.
GBnews love doing this, don't they? This is their core message, that they're back in the good old days. Back in the good old days when mice were hitting cats with hammers, when a pint was tuppence and an halfpenny. Back in the good old days. This is what this show's all about. The good old days, isn't it? The interesting thing about this, if you think back to conservatives in the good old days, I guess they would have been the ones when these cartoons were coming out going, oh, it's a disgrace, it's going to warp our kids' minds. And now conservatives 30 years later have completely flipped their position and they're protecting the right to show violence on TV. Isn't it weird how things just turn around? But GBnews love this stuff back in the good old days. And it's just one of those things that everyone is the same. Everyone has fond memories of when they're a kid because they're the most fond times of your life. No stress, no hassle. When you're young, the music was better, the TV was better, the films are better. You get a good feeling when you think back to your youth. And that is why GBnews and some people just find it so hard for change. The world is evolving, people, okay? It's not going to be like the good old days. Things have to move on, okay? And you know what? Maybe a cartoon that is predominantly aimed at families, really, The Simpsons. I mean, South Park and even Family Guy are a lot more adult humour, but The Simpsons has always been a show that, it has its adult elements, but it is a show that you can sit down with the kids and they'll enjoy it as well. So maybe, a father strangling his son, maybe give it a miss. Let's crack on. I'm interested to see what GBnews got to say.
I didn't turn out to be a violent person. I got it. It was a cartoon, and I worked out the difference between reality and a bit of fun. Bart Simpson and this whole thing, The Simpsons isn't actually really targeted at very young people anyway. So I'm sure adults watching that, whilst it does have a childlike humour and does appeal to young people, that wasn't their initial audience. And the idea that somebody having seen that will think, oh, that's a good idea. It's just comedy. It's just meant to be funny. And if you're an adult watching that, you probably wouldn't have your kids watching that anyway. But as an adult watching that, you might...
She's just gone back on her whole argument, saying that the kids shouldn't be watching it anyway. What the hell?
It's just comedy. It's just meant to be funny. And if you're an adult watching that, you probably wouldn't have your kids watching that anyway.
So you're saying that maybe it's not a great thing for kids to be watching then, really? You just gone back on your whole argument. What are you talking about? Look, no one thinks, when these things come up, no one thinks that suddenly people, men are going to watch The Simpsons and think, oh great, I'm going to start strangling my son. It's just one of those things where, let's just leave it out. And she says about the comedy thing. I mean, The Simpsons is, you know, arguably one of the greatest comedy shows over the last 20 years. It's absolutely incredible. Is Homer strangling Bart one of the top 10 funniest things? Is it one of the top 100? Is it one of the top 1,000 things in The Simpsons? No, probably not. I mean, Caretaker Willie will take everything that he's done will take over that. It's just a simple thing. Do we need it in the show? No, probably not. And they made a great joke about taking it out as well. That clip that they showed was actually really funny. But yeah.
But as an adult watching that, you
Look
might,
at
you
that.
might, if you don't.
These
Well,
photographs
if
are
you don't
funny.
like it-
I mean, Nana, did no one tell these numpties that they're not real human beings? It's a cartoon.
Yeah, yeah, we know it's not real. It's not real. It's a cartoon. We get it. But things move on. Wasn't there that show in the like 60s or something? That bloke that used to threaten to hit his wife. It's like, one of these days, Alice. One of these days. You know, threat. I've got to look this up. Actually, let me check this out. Yeah, this is it. The Honeymooners, 1955. One of these days, Alice, is a catchphrase from the TV show The Honeymooners, which aired in 1955. In this show, Ralph Cramden, a short-tempered bus driver, would make empty threats of domestic violence to his more level-headed wife.
Your mumbo days are over. You want to wiggle over to the stove and get my supper. Wait a minute. What's that?
Tuna fish. We're going to have tuna fish salad.
Tuna fish? What am I, a cat or something? Why can't I have a hot meal?
I mean, times move on. You know, threats of domestic violence against your wife. You know, maybe it's time to move on. And that's what The Simpsons are doing. Strangling a poor kid. You know, we've got plenty of funny stuff. We don't need that anymore. We've moved on.
Well, that's the point. They're not real people. They're just cartoons. Somebody's drawn it to make people laugh. All the things in there, none of the things in there are likely to happen. They're parodies. It's a comedy. You're supposed to laugh. And if you don't like it, you can just press the button and change channels. I don't know why they've gone woke, but, you know, go woke, go broke. We've seen it happen many times.
Definitely. When I read this story, I had one word. Dolt. Now...
Oh God! I didn't think it was possible to beat. Is he Cummings or Goings?
Blimey, when I heard that language, I didn't know whether I was Cummings or going.
I think GBnews need to concentrate a bit more on making their own scripts funny, maybe, instead of slagging off one of the greatest comedy shows over the last 20, 30 years. They should probably put a bit more emphasis on the humour in their script. I've got to see this again.
You're supposed to laugh, and if you don't like it, you can just press the button and change channels. I don't know why they've gone woke, but, you know, go woke, go broke. We've seen it happen many times.
Definitely. When I read this story, I had one word. Dolt. Now, Nana, if you thought that was bad...
She doesn't know how to react.
Nursery.
Not even a single little smirk on her face. She's like, that was awkward. Right, that's enough of that now. I can't watch anymore. It's rubbish. But it goes back to this thing. Like, so... Woke Watch, this segment on GBnews, you know, they're specifically going out every day. They've got like producers going, right, find me a story where we can get outraged at something that's woke. And this is what they came up with today. The Simpsons taken away, Bart being strangled by his... This is the best you can come up with. And like I said previously, it's all just this thing. It all comes down to GBnews' whole emphasis is the fact that it's not like the good old days, you know. We used to love the good old days where you could threaten domestic violence to your wife on TV. You could strangle the kids. There were not as many black... Oh, shit, sorry. It's just... And I say everyone's fond of the good old days, but we have to move on, people. The world moves on. We can't always have the good old days. So just accept the fact that things are going to change. We're going to move on, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Till next time, if you enjoyed the video, click a like. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe up top, and there'll be another video up there. You can check that out as well. Till next time, take care.